tells a tale the whole city knows. Rhythms in the shadows where the cold wind blows. Life's a gamble on these streets, anything goes. Boom bap echoes through the alleys at night. Soulful samples lift the darkness to light. Deep kicks pound like a heartbeat fight. These gritty vibes keep my story in sight. Graffiti on the walls paint the struggle.
Hey guys, welcome to the vlog today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit off what we're usually doing. Usually we're doing stuff with the car, some few little things with the quad and stuff like that, but mainly the car and racing. But today we're going to show you guys something that there's a million videos on, but we're going to do our own. And this is a video on how to do an oil change. And we're going to be doing an oil change on my 2010 GMC Sierra 1500 with a 5.3. What a coincidence. All my vehicles have 5.3s in them. So yeah, we're going to show you guys how to do an oil change on that one. And we're probably also going to do a separate video as well on how to do spark plugs on it. So we're going to get that done as well. And one thing that we also need to get done too is the car needs to have a lot of the water drained out, and we got to put coolant in. Winter is pretty much here already. We had our first snowfall. The garage didn't get very cold. I think we got to like 7 Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit if you're American and watching this. I'm not going to do the conversion. Maybe I'll put it like right here, what the conversion is. But yeah, so it didn't really get too cold in the garage yet, but I don't always run my heater 24/7 in the garage, just because electricity is not cheap. So I mainly run it in here when I'm working in here, or I know I need to get something done in here. So I like to make sure that I have the coolant in there so that it's not going to wreck the brand new motor that we put into the car. So yeah, that we're going to get done yet. But first, the truck needs an oil change. So especially because we got a lot of driving to do in the next little while, and we have some exciting information and a little bit of a surprise that we're picking up next weekend. So I'm not going to say yet what it is, as much as I really want to, because I'm very excited. And those of you that actually know me personally and have got a message from me and a picture, you know already what I'm picking up. Don't ruin the surprise. Don't leave it in the comments. But yeah, so then I will be doing a video on that. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, so we're gonna have to pull the car out of the garage, which means obviously we've got to drive it out of the garage. So I haven't fired up the car in a little while, but we've been having the maintainer on the battery because I found out the hard way this last year that if I don't leave the maintainer on there, the ECU is not very happy with me. So yeah, we're gonna fire it up. We're gonna roll it out of the garage. It's gonna stay outside. The weather's not too bad today. I think it's like, -1, but I don't think it's going to really cause any issues in the meantime for us doing the oil change and the spark plugs. So we'll roll it out. You know, the engine will probably still be warm by the time we pull back in. But yeah, we'll roll it out. We'll get the oil change done. And the next video will be the spark plugs. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully it starts on the first time like it did on the first fire up. It didn't the last few times when I tried starting it, but it's going to happen this time, I think. Or it's going to be like usual. It's going to be like the first fire and it goes, and it's going to go. But let's see. Well, I can just barely fit my truck in here with my toolbox and everything, but we got this. Okay guys, so when it comes to doing an oil change, the way that I do things, and again, this is my way of doing things. Sometimes guys will disagree with me, sometimes guys have their own ideas. This is how I get it done. So number one, always take your fill cap off. Reason being, mine likes to stick a little bit. There it is. Reason being, when you're draining your oil, you want there to be proper airflow going through so that you can make sure that all the oil comes out properly and you're not fighting with it and it's going blah, 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 blah when it's draining. It doesn't happen with a lot of vehicles, but sometimes when you don't open up that fill, then when it's pouring out, especially the first little bit, it can get really messy because you don't control the flow at all and it gets really bad. So that's step one. Step two, I will always go and get my drain pan and I'll put my drain pan underneath. I'm gonna go do that now. I'm not gonna go underneath and really show absolutely everything. I might actually show everything, we'll see. So I put my drain pan underneath and I get all my tools set on each side of that I need. On this 2010 GMC Sierra, the drain plug is on the passenger side and your oil filter is gonna be on your driver's side. For this truck, we need a 15 millimeter for the drain plug. And then what I do, I use Mobile One filters. I'm quite a fan of the Mobile One filters. I use one of these guys for my my oil filter. Now this one, it says on here what size it is. It does not. I don't remember what size it is. I can check it yet, but best way to do it though is if you live in a place where you have those kind of oil filter sockets, what you can do is you can just take the oil filter out of the pack in the store, as long as they're not, you know, shaming you for it. And then you just fit it over top. If it's a nice fit, that's gonna be the one. If you are using that though, make sure you're not gonna be over tightening. Over tightening can be bad. Also, always make sure you put oil around the gasket on the filter. But anyway, I'm gonna go run and get my my drain pan, and then grabbing the tools I need, and then we're gonna get started. Oh, one thing I forgot. I'm old. I use knee pads. Make sure you use knee pads if you're not doing this, you know, on a hoist and stuff. All right, guys. I'm just gonna go underneath here, and I'm gonna show you where the drain plug is. Some people might not know, some people are gonna know, but we're gonna show you where she is. Okay, so you look right there, that's where she is. So this guy right there, that's your drain plug. So 15 millimeter. I always snug them up myself. I don't use a torque wrench or anything like that. Sometimes I have to go out and break it off of the breaker bar depending on how tight I did it last time, but I just take a big ratchet, loosen it off. Once I get to the, there it is. Once I get to the very end, like when it starts to feel really loose, I make sure to hold it tight, and then I have my drain pan a little bit further away than right underneath because it's gonna come out this way. It's not gonna go straight down. And then as it kind of slows down, then I'll just kind of slide it that way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And then, yeah. All right, I'm gonna stand back up here. Ugh. One thing I should mention, always make sure you keep your drain plug clean. You do not want to make the thing dirty. keep it as clean as possible. That's why when I put it down, I put it so that the side of the bolt, like the head of the bolt, is going down. Your threads are facing up. Don't make it dirty. As you can see, well, you probably couldn't see because there's a time lapse, but oil drains out very slow when it's cold. I didn't warm the truck up very warm this morning just because of the fact that I knew for a fact I was going to be doing spark plugs yet after this, and I like to do that on a cold motor. Oil just drains out way slower when it's not warm. So sometimes you just have to let it go longer. So yeah, I got a little bit of a steady stream coming out still, so we'll just let it go for a bit. But while we're doing that, I'm going to go out to the other side now, and I'm going to show you what you're looking for the oil filter. So yeah. All right, so this is on the driver's side now. Very simple to find. You see where that one is? Right over there. See if I can get my camera to cooperate here. Right there, that's your oil filter. That guy right there with the one on it, all the lettering, that's your oil filter. Nothing too difficult. This part too, you're gonna wanna make sure that you put your drain pan underneath, but I will leave the phone right here, and we will loosen that guy off next, and we will let that guy drain. All right, so now that we got the oil filter off and it's draining, we're gonna let that drain for a little bit. Again, everything's a little bit colder. Once it's drained out pretty much all the way, we're gonna take some, I always like to take a little bit of brake clean, spray it off a little bit, get everything cleaned off, wipe it down, and then I'll put the new filter on. Usually I'll tighten it by hand as far as I can. Once it touches, often they have specs. I like to just kind of get that ratchet on there and just kind of give it a little bit of a snug. I don't over tighten it, but I give it a snug. I think this last time I did it, I probably over tightened it a little bit too much because it seemed like it wanted to fight me a little bit coming off. Try not to do that if you can. It can be a pain in the butt sometimes taking them off, especially if it's a filter that you can't take off nicely with one of these ratchets. But yeah, so once you clean that area off, we're going to take some of the new oil. A lot of guys like using the old oil. I always do like doing the new oil, but with a clean finger. And often I'll do clean gloves. You just dip your finger into the oil around the rubber seal, and you'll see it. I'll even show you here what we're talking about. So here's the, don't want to let my phone fall. I'll show you guys here. So this is the filter that we're going to use for this truck. This is the one I often like to use. There's two different filters that they prefer with these trucks. This one, it won't usually tell you it's this one. You have to kind of do your own little research, but this is the long filter. So I prefer the long filter over the short filter. Yeah, so this is the long filter, and they started actually putting this plastic on here, which is very nice, keeps it nice and fresh. You don't want to be getting debris in there. That's very bad. Also, always make sure that it's the right one. Even if the box says one thing, make sure that this is the right one. But yeah, so the one I use for my truck, again, 2010, 5.3. This should be the same for all 07 to 13 5.3s. And if I am correct, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe it should be the same for the 5.3s that are 99 to 07 as well. Should be the same. But yeah, so M1212 is the one that I use for my truck. I'm also a big fan of using Pennzoil oil. It seems to work the best for me. I always use a platinum. I have high kilometers. I don't use high kilometer oil. I know some people say that I should. I don't. I just always use the platinum 5W30 from Pennzoil. It's been the best for me. So yeah, all you're gonna do with that oil, dip your pinky in it, and then around this gasket right here, this rubber gasket right here, put a little bit of oil around there, just so you can actually see that you're making it a little bit wet. You'll see like a little bit of almost like a little bit of an oil ridge over it. Make sure you got the oil on there, and then all you do is you just by hand. Other thing I do like to do too, I do like to put oil into the filter. So I don't overly saturate it, but I do fill it up to the top, or at least like close to the top, and then make sure you hold it steady so you're not dumping oil all over the place, and then screw it on after. But yeah, this is why we can use that socket, by the way. You see how this oil filter has these ridges here? So those fit perfectly onto there. So if you're gonna be doing it that way, make sure you have those ridges on your filter. Not all of them have them. I've used Wix filters. Wix filters do not have them. Okay, so now we're gonna go check to see how clean it is, and then we'll put the new filter on. All right, so we got the oil filter on. Now what we can do, we can put the drain plug back on, and then we're gonna add oil. And then that's it for your oil change. So I won't really show putting the drain plug back on. You just always clean it off, thread it back on, snug it up a little bit. Make sure there's no leaks coming from it after you add the oil. So yeah, I'll get this set up here. You can watch me dump oil in. So yeah, but yeah, that's about it for doing an oil change. All right, so we got the oil all in. Drain plug was tightened up before. Always make sure you do that, but I know I didn't show that part, but always make sure your drain plug is put in and tightened up before you add the oil back in. Otherwise, it's just gonna be back on the floor, and it doesn't help you there. Then it's shot. What I always do is I also add an additive to my oil. I know some people will say do it, some people will say don't do it. I'll show you what I use. Just been dumpster diving for this for you. Better be happy about that. So Duralube. It's even race born. See that? Read that. Race born. That's like 5 extra horsepower. But yeah, so I've been using Duralube on my engine now for I think about 2 years, 2 or 3 years. I had a bit of a lifter tick. It wasn't very bad, but it was enough that sometimes, especially in wintertime, where it was like, maybe it shouldn't do that. And we all know how these engines are with their DOD lifters. My DOD is turned off, but I don't have the whole delete kit on. I don't know if I will in this truck or not. It's got high kilometers already. Yes, kilometers. It's Canada. But yeah, it's got 323,000 kilometers, so it's got high kilometers. I don't know what, again, I don't know what that is in miles. I'll do the calculation and I'll put it right here. So this is how many miles it has, but it's got high miles. I know there's a lot higher, and I want it to last me for a long time yet. I do plan on doing a lot of work to this truck yet, but right now it's kind of, the work I want to do is hit the back burner, and it's got a lot of cancer on it. And but I mean, mechanically it's sound. Engine runs great. But yeah, so this has been a really good product, and it's made the lifter tick go away. So if you're kind of wondering on something that you want to maybe try, if you can get it in your area, try Duralube. It's pretty good. Apparently it also works for transmission noise as well. So that's nice. Yeah, so whenever I'm filling in the oil, I usually add this. Like, I'll do the 5 liter jug first, and then I will put this into that jug, and then I dump the 5 liter jug in. Now we also have the they're not full liters. I think it's like 946 milliliters, but before I add that in, I check the level, and then I'll do the calculation. These trucks take 5.7 liters of oil. Some people, for some reason, think that it goes by the liter of the size that you have. So it's a 5.3 liter. No, it doesn't take 5.3 liters. It takes 5.7. But I'll still check the level as I'm filling it up, and then I'll do the calculation, because I did add that other stuff in there, and I'll just kind of take that away from the oil that I put in there. And so I usually end up putting about 5.5 liters in, because that thing is about 200 milliliters, give or take. But yeah, always check your level. Having too little oil is bad. Having too much oil is bad. Who would have thunk it? A lot of people will just think, oh, oil, it's lubrication, we're good. No, you need to have the right level. I have a tendency of putting a little bit too much in, but I feel like I'd rather have a little bit too much than a little bit too little. So check your levels again. When you're checking it, don't just rip the dipstick in and pull it out. I always like to actually let it sit for a little bit, let it marinate. It's like a steak. I don't marinate steaks very often, but it's like ribs or good chicken. Let it marinate. Now, check the level. Yeah, we're a little overfull, but that's all right. Especially because old motors usually end up burning a little bit of oil anyway. So, in my opinion, when they burn a little bit of oil, a little extra oil when you do oil change is the worst thing ever. By the time you do your oil change, you probably have the right amount of oil anyway. It hasn't failed me, so I doubt it's going to fail you. Now, I also make sure I gauge my oil pressure as well as I'm driving once in a while, just to make sure. You don't also want to be the sad people where all of a sudden you're on the highway and then your oil goes woo, and it's gone. So always be careful of that. Now, the last thing I do yet before I wrap up the whole oil change, I like to always kind of give my oil capperoonie here a little bit of a wipe. Sometimes I have condensation in here. I think it has to do with the fact that I do have one manifold bolt that's broken on this truck. Don't know how long it's been like that, but I found it about a couple of years ago, and it's the back one, and so I'm kind of procrastinating on that one because I know it's going to be a bit of a job, and I don't really have time for it right now, but maybe one day I will. But yeah. All the good stuff is in there now. And the cap goes. Mine fights. Always has, always will. I'm telling you, my race car doesn't fight as much as my daily driver. Don't drive a daily driver. Drive a race car. That's kind of the point I'm getting at here. And that's it. We've changed our oil. We are done. Why are you still watching the video? Leave. I hope you guys enjoyed the video today. I hope this helps you. If you don't know how to do an oil change and you're watching this video because you want to know how to do an oil change, or if you're bored at home and you're sipping a coffee and you didn't know what to watch, so you decided to watch my face for some reason, I hope you enjoyed it. That's my oil change. Now I get to do spark plugs. That's the next video. Enjoy my suffering for that one. Like always, guys, live to race. No, we're not doing live to race anymore, are we? Fueled by faith, guys. We're now fueled by faith. That's the new one. Stay fueled by faith, guys. Peace. Oh.